Hey, good evening. Welcome to our Indio Planning Commission. Are we good? No, we are. Okay, so I go ahead and call this meeting to order. I wanted to do that. Can you please have roll call?
Chairperson Jacqueline Lopez,
Present. Yes.
Vice Chairperson Nico Isiano,
Present.
Commissioner Christian Rodriguez Teja.
Here.
Commissioner Gloria Franz
Present.
and Commissioner Esperanza Valdez.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. If we can please get the introduction of staff.
Sure, Madam Chairperson, today we have Rebecca Winscott, our Fire Marshal, Roldan Lopez, which will attending the meeting via Zoom, our Associate Engineer, Sir Kevin Snyder, my Director, Gustavo Gomez, our Assistant Planner, Evelyn Beltran, Secretary, Zach Hainzelman, our Assistant City Attorney, Jason Anderson, Code Enforcement Manager, and myself, Leila Nambar. Thank you, Senior Planner.
Thank you, Leila. And at this time, if I can have our Vice Chair lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Certainly. Please join me in our pledge of allegiance. Saluting our flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And at this time, if we can get a statement from our Commission Secretary.
The general rules of courtesy for virtual meetings are as follows. Please be mindful of background noise when joining the meeting virtually. Virtual meeting participants must mute all live streaming devices to avoid playback when speaking. Virtual meeting participants must mute their microphone to help keep background noise to a minimum when they are not speaking. When your microphone is not muted, avoid activities that could create additional noise. Position your camera properly. If you choose to use a web camera, be sure it is in a stable position and focused at eye level if possible. If you will be sharing content during the meeting, make sure you have files and/or links ready to go before the meeting begins. Members from the public participating virtually wishing to provide oral testimony must follow the instructions on the agenda and/or online in order to provide public comment for agenda or non-agenda items. Members of the public participating virtually wishing to provide oral testimony have 3 minutes to provide oral testimony. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. And if we can also have our statement from our City Attorney.
Thank you, Chair. There have been no directives issued temporarily halting local government processing of land use and development review applications and/or consideration of policy actions, including but not limited to general plan amendments, zoning code amendments, and/or new or amended specific plans. Therefore, the City of Indio continues to accept and process applications in accordance with state and local requirements. City of Indio is following Governor Newsom's executive orders N-25-20 and N-29-20 pertaining to the Brown Act. These executive orders allow governmental entities to conduct meetings by electronic means and for members of the public to observe the meeting electronically, as well as provide public comment or public testimony telephonically or otherwise electronically. Accordingly, City Council and Planning Commission are currently conducting scheduled meetings in a hybrid in-person and virtual meeting format. The City of Indio has implemented technology solutions that allow members of the public to observe and offer public comment, as well as public testimony during virtual public hearings and at scheduled Planning Commission meetings. The City is committed to providing public participation opportunities while also complying with the requirements for processing of land use and development review applications and/or consideration of policy actions.
Thank you, Zach. Item number 6, do we have any public comments on any of the items that are not on the agenda?
We do not.
Okay. Seeing that there are no minutes, we're going to go ahead and start our first public hearing item, which is 8.1, Citrus Plaza 2, Phase 2 Design Review, 21-04-488, Citrus Plaza Planning Areas 2.
All right. Good evening, members of the Planning Commission, and welcome back to your first in-person meeting for those that are in attendance. And good evening to members of our Planning Commission and members of the public that are attending virtually. This is our first in-person meeting in a long time for the Planning Commission. So on behalf of myself and perhaps only myself, if we stumble a little bit, please be patient. This is a little bit awkward and weird, but good. So this evening, I'm filling in for recently departed Associate Planner Rosie Lua. I want to thank Rosie for all the work that she did leading up to this evening on this project and acknowledge that she did the real heavy lifting. So I'm kind of batting cleanup tonight and will do my best to represent her effort well. So this evening, the Planning Commission is considering a design review application. It's the design review 21-04-488, and it is for the remaining portion of the Citrus Plaza 2, which the commission is familiar with. You've reviewed it previously, both in terms of a specific plan request that the commission recommended approval to City Council and was ultimately approved by the City Council. And then also more recently, at the end of 2020, you reviewed a design review application for the first phase of that project, the commercial phase of that project that fronts along Jefferson Street, and the commission gave conditional approval to that project. So we're now coming to the second phase of this project for Planning Area 2, the remaining portion of Planning Area 2. And this is a multifamily project for your consideration. So what I'm going to do this evening is I'm going to walk you through the project. Please feel free to stop me at any time if you have any questions. There'll be opportunity for questions at the end as well. And then the applicant and applicant's representatives are here to also answer your questions in advance of the formal public hearing. So with that, I'll jump in. So as you're probably familiar with, the property in question is northeast of Avenue 50 and Jefferson. It's immediately north of the existing Citrus Plaza that is anchored by the Ralph's grocery store for a point of reference. The area that we're looking at is the back half of the property, which is about 9.19 acres. And again, it's referred to in the planning documents as Planning Area 2. So as I already referenced, this project has gone through several rounds of review. Again, it went through a specific plan review. The specific plan, as you know, set the land use, design, and development standards for the property. And that is the guiding zoning regulations that we review projects that are being proposed under the Citrus Plaza, the banner. We look at the specific plan to see if they comply. And as I mentioned, Citrus Plaza 2, the initial Planning Area 1 design review, you reviewed that in December 2020 and you granted conditional approval. And what that really entailed at that time was some multi-tenant retail buildings, 2 drive-through restaurants, and also a gasoline pumping fuel station. More recently, it actually also, I apologize, also included a small portion of Planning Area 2, about a 6,900 square foot retail building. So it intruded slightly into Planning Area 2, and so that's why we say the remainder of Planning Area 2 is before you this evening. I got to remember how to use a mouse on a presentation here. This is all different. So this evening, the project in front of you, if you are looking at the screen, it is the colored area on the screen to the right of the text. This is a multifamily project. This is, in essence, what we call in the planning world a horizontal mixed-use development between the commercial on the Planning Area 1 and the multifamily in Planning Area 2. It is being proposed by Lichter Equities LP, care of Mr. Robert Lichter, who is here this evening as the applicant. And really, as I said, it's the remainder, development of the remainder of the Planning Area 2, which is about 3.3 acres. And it's comprised of 8 two-story residential buildings, 62 multifamily units with 1 parking space each, a 1-story recreational building, a community pool, a sports court, 1 monument sign that we'll talk about in a minute, and then 58 covered and uncovered parking spaces. So this project, as you may remember when the specific plan was going through, its consideration. The applicant at that time, who's the same applicant this evening, talked about wanting flexibility to explore market conditions. Subsequently, they investigated those market conditions and have identified that they believe that there was a market for multifamily residential on the remaining portion of the entire 9.91 acres, which again, we refer to as planning area 2. This is just a quick overview. This is the landscape plan. I think it gives a really good kind of straight visual representation of the project area. On the landscape side, they are following the specific plan, which really does promote a desert-friendly landscape in terms of the use of vegetation, both trees and ground covers and shrubs. It also gives you kind of an overview of the building layouts and orientations. To orient you to the north is the existing single-family residence, large lot single-family residence on approximately 5 acres. To the west is planning area 1. To the east is the what we refer to as the crossings specific plan area. That was another project that you reviewed in 2020. And then to the south is the existing Citrus Plaza shopping center. So this is the architectural materials board that the applicant put forward. Again, they're working off of the theme of the specific plan, which is modern architectural features and design. So you see the stucco colors here, along with steel colors, some composite wood siding, and the stone. This is intended to match and be complementary to the materials that were utilized in planning area 1, so that there's a relative seamness, if you will, between the 2 planning areas. So I'm gonna just, whoops, like I said, I gotta learn how to drive a mouse again. This is just some different elevations, different orientations to give you an overview of on a colored rendering, what the architectural elevations look like. Again, these are 2-story buildings. Max heights are 25 feet. They're actually allowed to go higher than that, but they are staying below the max height. The same is for the recreational building. So the max height for 2 stories would be 35. They're staying below that. And for the 1 story, they're at 19 feet. So they've paid particular attention to trying to fit into the surrounding area, trying to make their buildings comparable and compatible with the surrounding properties to the north and northeast, and also the future residential uses to the east. Again, some different elevations for you. Another set of elevations. And then I'm going to move into these are colored renderings the applicant has provided of what the project could look like. This gives you different orientations as you look into this future multifamily area. And so this is one elevation that's looking to the northeast. Oops. And then this is another elevation near the pool, community pool area that is looking north. Again, you can see the variety of materials the applicant's using between the wood and the steel, the variety of color, and then also this also represents the intent to use desert appropriate landscaping. All of these features, both the architectural features and landscape features, are being done consistently with the adopted specific plan. Again, just another set of elevations. You can see that the units all do have garage serving, as I mentioned earlier, and also have balconies and lots of light penetration. Again, just another set of elevations. And then this is at the transition area. So to the immediate west is the back area of the commercial, and then to the east is the multifamily residential. I've used the term in the past of describing the intent here to be somewhat of a village, so that there's walkability. Folks can get access to services, many of the services that they need on a daily or weekly basis without having to actually leave the site, whether it's grocery shopping or restaurant or service uses. So in reviewing this, we reviewed the proposal under 3 key criteria areas. First, does it comply with the Indio General Plan? So the Indio General Plan 2040 was adopted on September 18th, 2019, and it established a neighborhood center land use designation. And as you can see here, it's intended for a mix of uses, both residential and commercial. So it does comply with the intent of that land use designation. We next looked at it under the auspices of the specific plan. The specific plan, as you're well aware, is a form of zoning. And in this instance, the specific plan governing this project site, as well as the remainder of the property, planning area 1, has specific land use, development, and design standards. The multifamily residential use is a permitted use. There's no extraordinary review needed for that. They are permitted up to 90 multifamily units. However, they're only doing 62, so they're substantially below the number that they could have pursued. And I'm sure the applicant will be happy to explain that if needed as to why they made that choice. And then when we do this, we're looking at this under the auspices of the Indiana Municipal Code, specifically the design review provisions. And so as we looked at the plan that they presented, as we looked at the zoning controls, and then we applied the design review criteria, we found that the project was compliant. And then finally, we looked at it under the auspices of CEQA, or the California Environmental Quality Act. And as you may remember, there was a fairly extensive environmental review that was conducted for the specific plan. When you reviewed planning area 1 in December, at that time, it was consistent. There was no substantive changes, no increases in impacts, and so no additional environmental analysis was needed for that project. We made a similar finding here for the proposed development of planning area 2. Again, no substantive changes, no increases in environmental impacts, so no additional environmental analysis was needed for this project. So with that, staff is recommending the Planning Commission consider adoption of Resolution 1997. It's in your packet and it's there, so I won't read it in full, but basically the Resolution 1997 would conditionally approve the design review for the development of Planning Area 2 as proposed and as discussed in my staff presentation. The Planning Commission is the final decision maker on this unless it's appealed to City Council. So this is an instance where, similar to Planning Area 1, your decision would stand unless appealed. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions the commission might have.
Thank you, Kevin. Any questions?
Yes, thank you. I have some questions. Thank you for the presentation. That was great. I really like the design. I like the way it's been laid out. So a couple of questions, since our old commissioner Seha is not here. I need to ask some of the questions that he would have normally asked in case he's watching. So I couldn't tell based on the plans where the equipment is going to be, like the air conditioners, how we're going to shield them so they're not visible. Are they going to be on the roof? That kind of thing. So that was one of my questions.
Okay. So I'm going to defer that to the applicant.
Okay.
My understanding is that they will be fully screened and that they will mostly be rooftop, but the applicant can clarify that in terms of my review of the materials.
Okay, let me see if there was, maybe this is for him too, but the wall that runs along the residence to the east, how tall is that wall going to be?
I believe it is,
I didn't.
yeah, it's going to be 8
there.
feet.
8 feet?
It is going to be 8 feet.
Okay.
There will be a penetration. As you may remember, there was a
Yep.
discussion to connect the crossings and this portion of Citrus Plaza. So there will be a penetration, a gate penetration, but otherwise it would be an 8-foot wall.
And has that gate been approved by
Not yet.
the HOA? So that's still pending?
Yeah, I
Their
mean, so the crossing specific plan, just they are moving forward with the project, but they are not anywhere along where there would be the opportunity to have those conversations in terms of any approvals, joint approvals.
Okay. And let me see if I had anything else. Otherwise, I think my other ones might be for the applicant. Yeah, I think those are my only ones that I thought staff might be able to answer easily. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Franz. Any further questions for Director Snyder?
What about?
Commissioner Rodriguez Seja? Or
Nothing for staff. for me.
other?
I do have a quick question, just because I'm a little late on, not late, but I wasn't a part of project when it started in the planning. These units, are they gonna be like a townhome style, or is it, how's the layout for the housing?
So they're intended to be market rate apartments,
Okay.
two-story market rate apartments with garage serving elements to each unit. The applicant can further describe the physical design of them in terms of interior space. I do believe that in your plans that were submitted to you, you also have the floor plans, but they are as described to me, and as I believe the applicant will represent, at least at this time, they're looking at them to be market rate apartment units.
And on these apartments, just for the energy efficiency, will they have any kind of solar, or I'm not sure if I haven't seen any apartments with solar, but I'm not sure if that's, I know with the housing starting in 2020, it required for all the new homes to have solar built in. So I was just curious.
Right. I think the applicant can further address that. You are correct with the building code requirements. So there are certain requirements based on type of units for solar. But I believe the applicant, because I did pose that question to them, they can more fully describe how they intend to introduce solar into the project site.
Okay. And then I had another question, which I'm not sure if it would be for you or for the applicant, but I was just curious as to how tall each story would be. I know the total, it was a total of 25 feet, but how tall will each level be? I'm just curious to see what the lower level is going to measure, and then the second level, what that's going to measure.
I'll defer to the applicant, although I believe that in your plans, there are actual elevations showing the different lineal feet of the different elements of the buildings, but the applicant probably can more quickly address those and answer your question, Commissioner.
Okay, and then as far as the parking, I did see that there is a garage space assigned for each unit, and that there's going to be covered parking as well. So will there be like a one garage and one covered for each resident, or will that be open?
So my understanding, and again, I'll defer to the applicant, but my understanding is that the covered parking will be primarily secondary parking for residents, and then the uncovered parking would be for guests. But the applicant can further clarify that if I misstated it.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Valdez. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and open this up for a public hearing. So the applicant, will please like to come up?
We're all gonna know whether we're coming or going.
Yes.
Good evening, Madam Commissioner, other commissioners. Thank you for being here. It's only 109 degrees. Good for you. First off, I'm Bob Lichter. I'm with Lichter Equities. We're the owner of Citrus Plaza as well as the developer. And I really do want to start off by thanking Kevin. He's been fabulous to work with, and I'm really going to miss Rosie because the two of them were quite a team. And I say that because it's been 3 years, and we have worked very, very hard together. There's been a lot of things that required a little bit of compromise, but the process has been pretty fluid, and I'm very proud of that. So with that, I just want to say that we're pretty darn excited right now. You've probably been by the site. We were hoping to have a real big groundbreaking for you all, but we never knew when we were going to break the ground. And then the temperature kept climbing, and then I was going to have Mark Scott there, and everything changed. So we're going to, if we get through, at least with phase one, we're going to have a sticks in the air groundbreaking, and everybody gets to come. It's not a bribe. I'm just saying what we're going to do is we're going to celebrate, because this is going to be a fun project. We've had a very, very exciting response. As Kevin knows, we did a lot of this with neighbors saying, this is what we want. And we've really kind of responded to that. There's some tenants coming that you're going to know, and they are in particular one that's a very well-known local tenant that is going to be, I think it's going to be a good kickoff. But the design of the project, back to when we were doing the specific plan, and a lot of it was from the input from you. I remember sitting right here, Nico, you were all on it, and it's, let's make this thing a multi-use, let's make it a lifestyle, let's make it a village. And I think we've responded to that. Kevin's kind of guided us all the way through as to the design elements, et cetera. It is not as dense as it could be. And I want to emphasize that because we, at one time, I believe we had a site plan in front of all of you that was about 84 units or 90 units. But it looked like barracks. I mean, it was literally, you had units and there was no light, there was nothing. It would have been great from an economic standpoint if you really didn't mind the fact that it wasn't really going to be a fun place to live in. This is designed, and I think some of the renderings show you that. If you can picture coming in the promenade with all the date palms that will be there and connecting from Citrus, which will have date palms that are already starting to come in. It's designed to kind of flow. And when you start the corner where you're almost looking at Ralph's, you're going to have people sitting outside, large patios. Our patios are so big that, and the tenants get them for free, basically. Now, granted, they're paying a little bit more rent per square foot, but they're going to be sitting out on these beautiful patios that are indoor, outdoor patios. And if you picture, because one of the pictures shows you that, the people in the apartment units that are surrounding that are all going to just, they can walk out, they can go to restaurants, they can, jump out of the pool and go get, go shopping, they can do whatever they want. So we really think it's going to be fun. We think it's going to flow well. I want to just address a couple of things. By the way, my architect, Bill Sharon, who's been with me the whole way, is sitting here. And my favorite contractor, Bill Sanchez, is right behind me. Bill has been with me for 3 years and he hasn't gotten a penny yet. So he's finally getting his first draw out of this. He's a good guy. But we have been working on this. They can answer the technical questions as to where the air conditioning units are and everything. But I think you're going to find they're very, very efficiently and well located. And from a physical standpoint, it's going to be a pretty nice project for anybody that wants to go there. I've heard that people say, well, why didn't you build a lot more units and build studios and do everything else? We looked at the market and we said, and I hope I'm not giving away more information that you want, but you've got maybe Montage coming. I hope they are. And some other things that are going down the street. As you look at that area from a helicopter, you go, my God, it's sitting here in ground zero. The festivals are one way. There's all of this stuff going on. But we do know that there is a tremendous demand for people to get into a unit that where either they have sold their condominium or a nice smaller house and they're kind of downsizing and they want to live in a place where they don't have to drive a lot. Or more likely than that, we are pretty certain we're going to have a lot of what I would call, I don't want to use the wrong term, but young professionals. We know that Montage is going to hire about 1,000 employees. A lot of those are going to be bookkeepers, junior bookkeepers, all sorts of people that are going to need a place to be housed. We're less than, a mile and a half from that. And hopefully those people will never get in a car. So it is designed to allow people to have a place to live that's going to be, affordable. I don't mean affordable in the sense that it's going to be, a very, very inexpensive, but the numbers can work out good. I think that it's only 62 units. We have a feeling we're going to have, a pretty full house quickly. What we want is we want them to have fun. We want our tenants to enjoy them being there. And when that's all completed, you basically, between the two projects, you have about 130,000 feet of retail, and then you have 62 units. And on 20 acres, that's all you have. And it should be beautiful. And, obviously I'm proud of it, but I'm excited that I really think it's going to be something that we're all going to celebrate together. And I'll take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and start with
I had a couple questions. So the 62 units with the one garage space, are those single car garage spaces?
Yes.
Okay. So about double that with the additional parking, the 58 spaces. Any thought of covering more of those? Because by my count, it looked like maybe there was only about like 18 or 20 covered spaces, I'm sure.
Yeah. We don't know right now. We haven't, let's put it this way. We got some preliminary bids as to what this is going to cost. And then we got the preliminary numbers for what impact fees and everything are, and it blew us away. I mean, the numbers are staggering. Whether we would have the option, I believe we'd have the flexibility to come back to you and say, okay, we'd like to do more covered parking. And that'll, leads into the question of, well, why don't you do solar? Everything is set up so that we could subsequently do that. We're not at the point yet where we have, started our working drawings or anything, but it's an option we're going to preserve. If it makes sense, I think it's a great idea. I mean, the idea of having covered carports with solar is a great idea. Whether or not it's economically feasible, I don't know. There's already a lot of things that you just have to do just to produce that project. But we haven't eliminated that. And we didn't go, by the way, as the alternative to the bare minimum, because that's not what is here. If you look at the project, there's sometimes a disadvantage, I think, of too many carports. What we have been trying to do, and Layla knows because she's working with the crossings, I believe, that they've got a big project, and we hope to really interconnect those projects. The man that's a developer is a very, he's a friend. And I think that the idea is to not wall off, have such a, demarcation between the projects, because there's a tremendous amount of compatibility. Obviously, there are a lot of customers for our restaurants and everything else. And we will, we hope to have the connection between the project. If it were all just carports, it starts to look, I think it looks a little too much, but I can't tell you we won't, because you do have the open spaces to do it.
Yeah, no, I understand, wanting to kind of let them blend together and have some connectability. But I think, the tenants probably would appreciate it, and their guests, I don't see many disadvantages to having more covered parking out here in the desert, especially this time of year.
Oh, I get it.
But I like the project. I really like the materials. One question was, it looks like on some of the elevations, the second story is that like a 14, 15 foot tall window, or is that?
It's pretty big.
Yeah.
And it's a big balcony. It's historically, you would never do this, but nowadays everybody, they would like to have, I hate to keep referring to what the pandemic taught us all, but everybody wants their home to have, at least a ground floor place where they can go outside, especially when it gets a little bit cooler. But the upstairs, it's a pretty big patio. And the thing that I want you to focus on is you've got 2-bedroom, 2-bath units, and they're big, they're much bigger than anything that I'm aware of around here. And we examined pretty much every apartment complex, but the ones that are really big are the 1-bedroom, 1-den. Those are interesting because that's kind of what, let's just say, a younger professional wants, is they either can have a roommate in the den, or more importantly, it's their den, office, whatever. And the square footage is substantially bigger than what you see as an average unit.
Okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Ceja Rodriguez?
Sure. Actually, I just had a question. In your market study, what was the ballpark cost for square footage for these types of units?
What is the cost per square foot?
Yeah.
That's funny. Not a funny question, but everybody talks about what a per square foot cost is. Do you mean the cost all in with the land and all the soft costs? That, believe it or not, is about, hold on to your hats, $317,000 per unit. That's what it costs. Now, is that all just the hard cost? It is everything. It's the cost of the construction. It's the cost of the land. It's the cost, and the land is in at a reduced amount from because we bifurcated it and pushed some of the land costs to retail. But by the time you get done with the permit costs and all the infrastructure, that's what it costs. So it's $20 million for 62 units. It's a lot of money. I'm sorry, I don't know who I'm talking to. Hi.
Hi. Sorry about that. Yeah, I guess I'm more interested. I guess the question really is this sort of like a condominium that is up for sale? This is a rental project, and then what would be a ballpark cost for the the individual who wants to move in there?
Well, okay, let's go back to, is it a condominium? We first started looking at it because when the numbers get tough, you start looking at as a for sale complex. I felt like it was it is not our intention to map it, whether we do at a later date, if we do you have to do some other things. But 62 units is not really that big of a complex to do what we want to do. We want people to have a place where, in a way, they didn't buy a place because they want to rent in a nice unit. And so it is not our intention at this point to, really look at that comparability. What we have to look at is we have to be conscious. I think this may go to your, to your other part of your question is, well, what are we going to rent these things for? Because if the rent is somewhere equivalent to what somebody could buy an equivalent unit, that's an issue. I can tell you that there probably are some places where you could buy a single family residence that might not be much more than this. I mean, I've seen them in the 500,000 range or whatever. But we could try and make this less expensive and ask for less rent, but then it's not going to work, being something that's, quite frankly, it's your gateway into Indio. We are surrounded by desert river estates, and they don't want a bunch of, lesser units. So we've tried to cater to what the neighbors there across the street at Renaissance and everywhere else. So we think that it's an apartment complex that probably a lot of those people there are going to be relatives of the people in the area. It's most probable that's what's going to happen. Does that answer it all?
Yeah, it does. And then I just had another question in regards to the landscape plan. It looks like that common area, that pool area, to be honest, it's a little concerning that there isn't as much of a green space. Did you consider more of these green spaces for the folks that would be moving in there and not just this pool area? Or what are those common areas? I only see one common area on the site map.
I'm not really sure. Well, it's unusual to have that much common area in a pool. We're not certain, by the way, that we're going to, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm backtracking on anything, but we haven't bid this thing out. And I'm sure we're in for some even wilder answers. But for instance, it shows what started off as a tennis court, and we said, well, no, nobody wants a tennis court. So we put it in for a racquetball court. And I mean, what do you call it? Yeah, pickleball. The pool that you see there may not be semicircle. We don't know, but you'll also see that there's a common, what do you call it? The big common area room. What do we call it?
Oh, recreation.
Oh, recreation. That is pretty large for what we're doing, because it's probably going to have some fitness equipment in there and everything else. So I don't know, it may be much bigger than you're seeing scale wise, but that's taking up a lot of area. We could have just omitted all of it and just put more units in, because nobody has to have a pool. But the people that we want to have there, we want them to stay there and enjoy it. And it may. I don't think we're going to be flipping any buildings at this point, but this is pretty much something that we think works. That pool is pretty big, and yet the rendering you saw, I think, was a rectangular pool. I'm not sure which one this was. This is probably the 30th site plan that we did, and I think this is pretty much it. So I hope you don't hold me to everything that's there. It's going to be 62 units. It's going to be beautiful, and and speaking of landscaping, it's going to be gorgeous, because we've already bought almost all their medjool palms. They're going to run all the way down the promenade. They're going to go down between the retail buildings and these units, and then they're going to go around the apartments. And then you're going to have all of the other types of shrubbery that you see. It's going to be colorful. It's going to be desert friendly, but it's going to be, remember, the name of the project, I want you all to get used to it, is Canopy. And the reason for that is it's a canopy. All these trees are designed to, kind of reach in and put you into the fold. And whether you think it's a corny name or not, it seems like it'll work. And this will probably be the residences of the canopy. I don't know, but it's going to have much more landscaping than certainly is required.
Any further questions, Commissioner? Okay.
Nothing for me, just the questions that have been raised earlier. I'm curious to hear those answers.
Okay,
Or-
thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Franz.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
I really like the design. I think that you really went out of your way to create a beautiful addition to that little part of our world. So I'm looking forward to it. I may hold you to most of this stuff because I really like it. So just so you know that. My big question again is how are you going to screen all of this equipment? So where is it going to sit? How is it going to be not visible from the street?
My artist architect will
There you go.
make you feel very good.
Thank you.
Every time he speaks, it costs me more money.
Oh my God, keep it short.
William Sharon, McGee Sharon Architects, offices in Palm Desert and San Diego. We're planning on there'll be some roof mounted units depending on what's closest to the unit. There'll all be split systems. So there'll be a condenser that's located either on the ground in an enclosed area close to each of the individual patios, or it'll either be on the roof and will also be screened. We haven't done the final design and all that yet. We're still working on it right now, but we know that would all have to be screened. You're not going to be
So
staring
we
at
won't
that.
be able to see anything when you
No.
drive by or drive through.
No, and if you walk right up next, you'll be able to look in and
Yeah,
look
well,
at it. but
maybe
yeah.
that, but
yes.
okay, just wanted to make sure. And since I have you up here, I don't want you to have to get up again. It might cost more money. The other question I had is, colors are hard to see, right? When you look at the color on a screen, it's one color. When you look at it on the printed sheets, it's a different color. So my question is, on the main building stucco colors, are they really gray, or are they more gray taupe?
They're a warmer gray. So
So
it's,
they're a little-
I wouldn't call them taupe, but they're not like a
They're not a cool gray. They're a little
Exactly.
more on a warmer.
They're a little
Okay,
more
I was
gray.
trying to figure out which one it was there.
yeah, pretty soon, maybe here in a couple of months, you'll be able to see what all the colors look. It's the exact same color scheme we did for
Phase one.
phase one. So,
Perfect. Okay, that's what the other question on the composite wood siding,
mhm.
we keep mentioning our heat, right? Our heat beats up everything. So I'm assuming this is rated for our kind of heat and isn't
Yes.
going to fade or warp or,
No, it's all, and in fact, it's not, it is a composite wood product, so it's not a real wood
Right.
product, which means it's not going to check and crack. And like you see a lot in
Yeah.
other places, the older buildings like built in the 70s and 80s, that had real
Right.
wood.
they
So
get
it-
ugly after a while.
right,
Okay, good.
exactly.
So this should last long.
Right.
The other question I too was concerned about, I love all the glass. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. It's beautiful. We love living in our desert with the sun and the lights. We're assuming all of this is rated for heat and it'll be
Yes.
keeping the heat out and not raising electrical bills, et cetera, et
It'll all
cetera.
be dual glazed, what's the low EV, right?
Okay,
And also, if you look at them, the way all the big pieces of glass especially are inset in that rectangle. So there's some protection there. And there's also a little clear story matching for the upper units, a clear story in the backside, and it's recessed as well.
okay,
So there was some thought given to that we don't want to, yeah.
perfect.
And somebody had asked about the heights, and I looked it up. It's going to be 9.6 will be all the rooms in the lower units will be 9.6. Then the upper units will either be 9.6 or 11.6 if you're in that living room area that pops up a little higher.
Okay. All right, that's good.
Oh, and also the wall is 6 feet tall. I looked. at
It
the
is only
plan.
6
It's
feet
6
tall.
feet tall.
Has the conversation taken place with the homeowners behind? Would they prefer a higher wall or is this just standard? I mean, I'm just asking if the conversation's taken place.
Well, I know we were approved for 6 feet, I believe, in the specific plan
Okay,
all the way
that's fine.
around. So that's what we went. And
Okay,
and
good.
somebody asked about the gate, and we do have a gate in there that lines up with one of their walkways.
So
So-
hopefully they'll approve that.
Yes, and if
Okay.
not, we can put it in different places if they
Right,
change
of
the
course.
design.
Yeah, I think it'd be great, but of course it's up to those homeowners to
Right.
decide if they want that access point or not. think that was
Oh,
my,
a question about the solar. All of the
Yes.
units will be designed to accept solar on the roof or even building in the switch gear. So it'll be easy to add on later. It won't be too much of additional cost except for the panels themselves, but it will not be installed with solar at the beginning.
okay, so it's solar ready,
Exactly.
but not, they won't be
Right.
part of this. Okay, also, I think the covered parking is important. I do understand not wanting it to look like so enclosed, so just kind of keep an eye on that and see if they could do a little more covered parking. It's pretty much priceless out here this time of the year. So other than that, I think it's very nice. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Franz. Commissioner Valdez?
I just have a really quick question on the air conditioning. I know you mentioned there's going to be something to cover it and make it look nice, whether it's on the ground level or on the roof. But I know that when there's units on the roof and there isn't anything protecting it, can be a little more wear and tear on the AC unit. So do you guys have something in mind to maybe like shield it and kind of put some shading or something over it just to kind of help with the wear and tear on it?
Actually, we're in discussions on this right now, and that is exactly one of the items why the mechanical engineer doesn't want to put them on the roof. But we're trying to save some of the space down below so that you don't necessarily have to look at a lot of, because there will be, each one of those buildings will have will require 12 condenser units. So we're trying to put some of them on the roof, and we will have screening on them. We haven't talked about an overhead cover like for shade, but it will have perimeter shading that will be provided by the screen.
And I'm not sure if having it on the roof, that would create more issues as far as like leaks, like if there's a condensation or a line that's clogged up, if that would cause any additional leaks, like to the,
No, those are all the things that we're talking about. We're planning on using a single ply roof that will be a welded, a white roof, so it'll reflect the sun. And also to me, that's one of the best roofs as far as preventing leaks in the first place. It's a flat roof, so the water will go off the sides, but it's like it built like a swimming pool at the end of the day.
Okay, because I know that sometimes with the multi-level units and the leaks can cause a nightmare. So just wanted to ask on that. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Commissioner Valdez. Anyone else have any comments? Do we have any public comments on this item?
We do not.
All right, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And we'll go ahead and start with
Chair, could I make one statement real fast before the commission? I just wanted to clarify something that Mr. Lichter said earlier. So I just want to remind the applicant and anyone watching that while there is some minimal flexibility in when we review plans that are submitted against any approval the planning commission might have, there is a limit on that. And so if there are substantial changes that the applicant wishes to make, depending on the degree of those changes, they may have to come back to the planning commission for the commission's consideration. So I just want to make sure, well, we try to be understanding that some things can change. There is also an expectation that they will generally follow what the commission, the construction will generally follow what the commission approves.
Thank you, Director Snyder. At this point, we'll go ahead and do some deliberations.
I have one more question. I'm sorry. Back to the solar again. I know you.
I have to open up the public comment. Public.
If the question is to be referred to the applicant, then the chair would have to reopen the public hearing in order to receive the testimony.
Okay, so is this question to the applicant?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing.
Okay. Oh, my apologies. Just to reference back to the solar, I know you mentioned that the property will be ready to install the solar, but once the solar is installed, how is that expense dispersed? Like, does that fall back on the tenant, or is that a cost that's absorbed by the owner? And even for the common areas, have you guys considered maybe doing solar for the common areas and just waiting on the solar for the other units? For the residential units, is there any consideration for that?
Well, that's one of the questions that we don't have the answer to, only because we still have to finish exactly what, the drawing, so we know we can bid it. I'm not trying to deflect the answer to that, but we're kind of used to trying to make our tenants and our owners have a very, keep it as tight as it can be when we're talking about common area costs and things like that. When you talk about who would benefit from the solar units on the roof, that's kind of a financial decision, because if someone came along, let's say that the government says, well, we've got a special program, we want you to put in all solar, okay? Then we would be the ones that would owe the money to the government. We would try and figure out how that benefits the tenants. If you remember right now, they're going to pay their own utilities. They've got their own meter. So if there's a way to make it beneficial to them and beneficial to the kind of the financial matrix, we're going to do it. We're not going to be in the business of trying to put in solar, mark up the costs, and then try and figure out how we can make the next buck. If it's going to benefit them and it's going to work for us, we'll do it in a heartbeat. But there, that's I'm thinking about all of that right now is it's a little bit beyond where we are in the actual design, because there's weight considerations, and although I think we can support it, but I don't know. We don't really know all the answers quite yet
Thank you.
on solar. And by the way, Kevin, I understand completely.
Any further questions before I go ahead and close the public hearing? Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and start with the deliberations. Let's go ahead and start with Commissioner Rodriguez Ceja.
Yeah, I think I'm only a little concerned about the common areas, but the project seems like a good project for the city, and I like that it's really bringing some diversifying of opportunities for housing in that particular region. That giant pool really is a concern. It's almost as big as that common room, and I wish that we would have that that little park off to the side a little extended. But I can see that they put in some thought for that desert landscape, and yeah, overall, I think the project is good.
Thank you. Commissioner Valdez.
I'm also excited about the project. I think that you guys did a great job with the designing and making, everything kind of, I don't want to say match, but just kind of flow together. And I'm excited. So congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner Valdez. Commissioner France.
No, I think they answered all my questions. I think that they've worked really hard to come in with a very interesting and different design. And I think it'll fit in very nicely in that part of our city. So I want to thank them for bringing a quality project to our city.
Thank you, Commissioner France. Vice Chair.
Yeah, also, I'm a big fan of the design. I love the walkability and the connectivity with the adjacent communities, the residential communities, and the commercial projects nearby. So I like it. I would just, again, echo, I think more covered parking would be very beneficial.
Thank you. And I have to say again, it's a beautiful design and it's a much needed market. We don't really have a lot of market rate apartments in the city of Indio. So again, I'll just thank you for your project. And I guess I'll go ahead and is anyone that would like to make a motion?
I'm ready to make a motion. So I make a motion that we adopt resolution number 1997, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Indio, California, conditionally approving design review 21-04-488 to allow the site plan circulation, architecture, landscape, and signage for 8 two-story building structures consisting of 62 multifamily units, a community pool, recreational facilities, covered and uncovered parking on the remaining 3.38 acres of planning area 2 of Citrus 2, generally located east of Jefferson and 700 feet north of Avenue 50, subject to the findings and conditions of approval therein, and determining that the project does not require additional environmental review per California Environmental Quality Act.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Chairperson Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Isiano,
Yes.
Commissioner France,
Yes.
Commissioner Valdez,
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez Ceja.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Next public hearing item, 8.2, Indio Marketplace, AKA Indio Fashion Mall, design review 20-04-486.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Planning Commission. I'm Leila Nambar, Senior Planner with the City of Indio. As you mentioned, the next item, which I'm assuming the presentation will be somewhere. Oh, do I do it? Yeah. Okay. Oops, sorry.
Layla's learning to drive again too.
I'm a good driver. Just my eyes doesn't help me. Where is, oh, there it is. But it goes away. There it is. All right, so. All right, so it is, sorry about that. It is Indio Marketplace, as you know, previously named Fashion Mall. The applicant is proposing a design review. So this is, the red line is basically the perimeter of the area that the applicant is going to remodel and renovate or redevelop. And the bottom part is a current view of the mall from Highway 111. As you know, the mall was built in 70s. In 2006, the City Council adopted a specific plan for this area, Highway 111, a specific plan, which currently is the zoning that governing the project site. The general plan designation for the site is Midtown. This is the site plan as the applicant proposing to develop. So the buildings stay the same. It's going to be interior and exterior renovation and remodel, adding to the south of the mall property some outdoor areas, opening the this area, which used to be the gut chucks. So there will be circulation between the east and west of the mall. Also, as you see here, the entrance to in and out will be improved and enhanced. So we won't have that traffic problem going into the mall, which currently is, if you guys use going to in and out, which I do every day, you probably has experienced that. This shows the landscape plan for the mall. As I said, the south portion will be outdoor seating, so it's date palms and shade trees for that area, in addition to the shade that they're providing by structures. That shows the landscape palette, which it also includes purple lantana in addition to the yellow lantana, and also date palms. So it's a colorful desert-friendly landscape palette. These are the elevations of the, these are the proposed elevation. As you see, they are doing a modern elevation, colorful, and using desert elements throughout the building, which is the date fronts. This is the materials that it will be used. Again, wood sliding, metal finishes and plasters, bright colors. Some close-up of the elevations that I'm gonna go through fast. And if you guys have any question, I can stop. Staff recommends approval of the resolution 2001. However, I'm going to go through the presentation that the applicant has provided to fast. That's the plan, right?
Okay, certainly.
Oh, no, I can actually give it to you.
Whatever way you like, I'm happy.
Okay. You know what?
I'm happy to walk you through it.
Okay, so I'll let Mr. Fahey walk you through. So with my presentation, staff is actually approving, recommending that the Planning Commission approves resolution 2001. and determined that there is no additional environmental review needed to be done for this project, which only is a remodel and a renovation of an existing shopping mall, and they are not adding any additional buildings. That concludes my staff report and presentation. I'll be happy to answer if you have any questions. The applicant team is also here to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Leila.
Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. We provided you with a memo for the conditions that needs to be deleted. I'm just gonna quickly say the numbers. Conditions numbers 13, 14, 35, and 63 needs to be deleted from the staff report. And then conditions number 13, 34, 61, 62, and 63 will be deleted from resolution 2001. So staff recommendation is to approve the resolution 2001 with this deleted conditions. And the memo was sent to the Planning Commission and also was posted online and was shared with the applicant as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any commissions for staff? Okay, seeing that there are none, I'm going to go ahead and open up a public hearing for this item. And if the applicant can please come up.
Yeah, got it. Thanks. Good evening, Madam Chairperson and Commissioners. My name is Christopher Fahey. I'm the president of the Hagan Company in our Los Angeles office. Most of you are familiar with the Hagan Company being involved with the Empire Polo Fields. We have a whole separate company that's been continuously developing retail shopping centers for almost 60 years. And I'm the president of that company. We're housed in Los Angeles. And I'm in charge of design and development for the projects. And we have our chief financial officer here tonight as well as our project manager, Larry Larson. Anthony Sanchez, our architect, is here also. If you have any questions specific that an architect can answer that I can't answer. We're happy to be here, finally here after probably 3.5 years of ownership now on the property. Been talking about development, working through the redevelopment of this project, dealing with the city staff, and I appreciate all the hard work the staff is and the politicians have helped us with putting this project together and getting to this point. And we're at the point now where we're ready for your review and approval, so we can hopefully get under construction this fall. And open up in fall of 2022. That is our schedule. That's our game plan right now. I'd like to take, there's several commissioners, I believe, who weren't present at our November presentation. We went through the project and kind of walked everyone through to see get a feel for everyone what liked about the project and the design. And if I could, I'll just spend a few minutes just kind of paging through that presentation. We have some updated interior design drawings as well that I can show you as we're working through those. But could I get the screen back? So as Ms. Namvar showed you, this is the perimeters of our existing property. And that is under our ownership. We have a reciprocal easement agreement with the properties to the west of us. In and Out, Wells Fargo, and the old Dollar Tree Center all are participate in the REA on this property with all cross-access easements that has been there since the initiation of this project back in the 60s and 70s. Yep, not working. Okay. This is a blow up of the mall itself, just kind of a depiction showing how the mall is demised. This, we're really not changing the walls, the interior walls of the shops in the mall, except for the Sears and the Gottschalk's buildings, which, as you'll see here, we're subdividing into a variety of sizes and shapes, depending on who we're targeting as tenants for them. don't have any tenants there right now that we can announce and talk to you about, but we're working with a variety of retailers, fitness, food, restaurants, et cetera, for the tenancies in this. You'll see on the south end of the mall here, and we'll see a prettier picture next, where we've created a food hall in the larger building that juts out to the south of this building. We're demolishing the 4 spaces, shop spaces that are there now, creating a new clear-story tower in there, and this is going to be our food hall. This is another picture. Again, this was I believe part of your package. This has the list of landscape items and kind of highlights some of the various areas within the site and the project for the enhanced paving, for the splash zone, the exterior areas for public areas. And as Ms. Namvar pointed out, probably the biggest difference in the landscape plan and the planter plan is that big throat that we've created at the in and out there to push their traffic away from that entrance, which is just a mess during the busy eating periods. And they have the ability that even at that little driveway entrance, in the middle of that throat, when in and out gets real crazy, you can actually just fence that off and push the traffic further back in towards the Wells Fargo parking to give us the queuing there. Next presentation, this is a blow up of the mall. Again, you'll see the demising in there. I'd like to point out that Ms. Namvar pointed out to you that we have removed over 20,000 square feet of the Gottschalks building to create that drive through that now finally links the circulation of the entire mall so that someone can drive around the entire mall instead of having to go out on Highway 111 to get around Harbor Freight. And that's a net loss of about 20,000 foot of leasable area to us. Down below, I'd like to point out, while we're looking at this, to the south of the mall, you'll see those 2 kind of landscaped areas on either side of that food hall. The landscape area to the west right now is we're calling it a flex space. We've designed it to be, an area where we can have concerts and, Friday night, Saturday night bands up there, or if we have some speeches, we can have there. If we have children's school presentations, groups, that's an area where we can congregate with for the public use. And to the east side of that food hall, we're calling it the children's splash zone. It's basically an area where the kids can run around and we'll have, we're still determining which kind of water element we're going to put in there, but they can get soaking wet and in the heat and cool off. And to the south of both of those areas, we've created a date grove, emulating the date groves, so prominent in the valley, as just twofold. One is to bring that history of Indio and the history of the valley to this location, and secondly, to provide a nice shaded area where the moms and dads and families can sit while the kids are playing in the water in the splash zone, or the concerts going on in the flex area. The flex area is, we're trying to keep that as its name stipulates. We're trying to keep it flexible. One of the things we might use it and hopefully use it for sometime in the future is maybe a restaurant that goes into that southeast corner of Gottschalks that has a great patio and a great. I always envision just a great beer hall and have that outdoor patio, outdoor seating that you see in all these brewery establishments around. So that could be a big patio at some point for a restaurant, but right now it's earmarked for public space. And then just to the south of the food hall, you'll see some covered areas. And again, that's shaded areas for seating outside. It's hard to believe at this time of the year, but there's so much of the year here in the desert where the outside patio, the outside eating, the outside living is just so wonderful that we're taking advantage of that. The landscape plan to the south of that food hall is going to blend into the food hall. I don't know if we have it in these presentations. You'll see it in some of our renderings, but the trees that are in the planters right outside of that food hall, we're going to carry those planters and those same trees inside. So as you open up the doors and walk in, you've just got a continuous flow and a continuous connection from the exterior to the interior. We had hoped to and had planned originally to be able to put these big, I'll call them airplane hangar slider doors at that entrance to the food hall so that when it's 70 degrees outside on that evening and in May, that you could open up these glass doors and then it's an interior exterior space. But so far the health department has put a quash to that. So we'll keep working with them and seeing how we can control the flies a different way maybe. Landscaping, we've got, roughly 110 trees on the property now. We've probably brought half of those in since we bought the property 3.5 years ago. When we're done with this property, we're going to have about 300 trees. So we're bringing in the shade trees, we're bringing in palms throughout the project, and tripling what we have there today. I think that's enhanced paving. You see the little note on those, in the key areas. One of the comments on one of our earlier presentation was traffic control. We're working with we will be working with the fire department. They frown upon speed bumps. We want speed bumps to control the traffic going through there, particularly on the south end there and particularly in the future when we make a connection to hopefully the property to the south of us and redevelop that. But at this time, the idea is that that's an elevated sidewalk so that like you see on the airports where you drive up a curb to get an elevated portion. So you have to automatically slow down to get up to it. And then you slow down to get off of it as well through that area. So that was a traffic control question that came up originally. One of the things I'll point out on this slide, I'm not sure if a future slide will have it, is again, one of the comments originally when we were dealing with this site plan was how are we going to handle loading and how are we going to handle the ride along and the lift and the Uber type of trips. Is if you look at on the south of the Sears building and south of the Gottschalk's building, you'll see that throat of landscaping that separates that small parking field from the drive to the south. Just to the north of both of those throated planters, those planters there, that's going to be dedicated loading area. Behind the Sears, we've got almost 200 lineal feet earmarked for loading. Behind the Gottschalk's, we've probably got 120 to 150 lineal feet of loading. And so we have dedicated loading zones for all the trucks and deliveries that are going to become obviously with 140,000 feet of GLA, you have quite a bit of loading, especially with the food users. So those will be earmarked and for loading during the early hours of the day. And then in the evenings, they're going to be earmarked. We're going to have signs on them. That's going to be customer pickup and drop off. So there'll be the cars, the Ubers will be able to get out of the main drive that's to the south of the property, pull into those areas for their customers on and off. So, and hopefully we get a lot of that traffic because we have a lot of the restaurants there that people want to join, and a nice tequila bar in the food hall is still my dream. So we're still working on that. Again, we briefly went through the elevations in Ms. Namvar's presentation, but this is the entrance to the mall, the main entrance facing 111. Right now, again, completely changed the look and appearance of it. The top of this structure is equal to the top of the existing domed entrance at this point. But we're basically gutting that whole entrance area, if you're familiar with it, and taking everything up 32 feet in that area. The sides of that, you'll see the glass ground to ceiling on this presentation on the entrance there, but they have the same thing on the sides of these clear stories. We have glass, so it's just going to illuminate, just natural sunlight throughout this area. And in the evening, in the nighttime, we're going to have a great lighting program, so it's just going to glow from Highway 111. The whole idea, and again, this is where I'll discuss our introduction of the color, the bold colors for this project. We've lived with it too long. We've been familiar with this for so long, and it was just such a drab exposure and presentation to the public and to the Highway 111. So we're going all the way to the opposite of that and just doing the color. We thought the palm fronds was again a great tie-in and link to the heritage and of Indio and the Coachella Valley. So that's kind of the foundation behind our decision to do that. You'll see on the parapet to the right of the entrance, to the right of those palm frond elements, you'll see murals. Again, the parapets that are going to be back, we're actually demolishing the existing parapets on those buildings now at great expense and moving them back 6 feet so that frontage wall now that conceals the equipment and the utility areas is now going to be out 6 feet out from the face of that parapet, giving us that relief. So all of a sudden you have a step feeling as you're looking at the elevations from the exterior back. And we're going to take those parapet areas and put a mural there. And right now it's a mural emulating the skyline as you look around Coachella Valley with the mountains, palms in there, and the sunshine, sun rays continuing. This is the entrance, the new entrance, clear story over the food hall. Again, we're taking that building, gutting it except for the perimeter walls, and taking that up, 32 feet in the air, all glass around. We're showing we've got the palm fronds not colored around the perimeter. Twofold. One is to help with some shading through there, as cutting the light. Heat load going through those, and as well, again, to carry that palm frond theme. You'll see here again the shaded areas to the south of the food hall that I mentioned earlier with the seating. We've got a combination of canopy of sail shades that we're going to be putting through here. And then you've got some hard structure shading that you can see in between. You can't really see the trellis, but it'll be a nice hard structure with a trellis. Similar to what you see around the perimeter of the clear story up above, again, carrying that theme through. You get a little picture here of looking through the palm trees, looking through the palm groves this is looking at that flex area that I mentioned earlier. Again, here's a bird's eye view of that back area. These are huge areas. Those palm trees are spaced about 20 to 24 feet apart. So we've got probably 80 to 100, lineal feet by 100 lineal feet back there. We'll have seating. It's a decomposed granite surface down there, so it's permeable for rain, and it helps with all the storm control and all that good stuff these days. And so this gives you a good feel for how all of that will lay out together, and it gives you an idea of the scope of the new entry elements and clear story towers from the roof's perspective. There's 5 entrances to the mall now. All 5 entrances will have that same treatment. This picture of the flex area, we're going to plan on putting a big widescreen up there for soccer matches, for live streaming of concerts, we hope, and for other presentations. Sports presentations and other things that can be run, movie night, for the family and the kids, events such as that. Again, and here's a perspective of the Palm Grove out in front of the splash zone. Again, the idea is to have these mounded areas, cushioned areas for the kids to roll around on and play on around this splash zone, and then to run in there and get soaked. At this point, and then you'll see the tree planters. Again, it's some traffic control as well as a landscaping issue, that these tree planters on the left of your screen are raised so as to prevent the vehicles from accidentally coming off of the roadway there, into the public areas. Here's some interior shots. This is what we're looking at right now on the interior of the mall. Work in progress. The goal is to be fun, exciting, interesting, and to be, I keep telling Mr. Sanchez, our architect, I said, I want a fiesta in here. So that's what we're working toward. We've created a lot of it. And if you know the interior mall at this point in time, you can compare the differences. This is a shot of our food hall from the south looking kind of northwest. It gives you an idea. Those are those tree planters I mentioned that are interior at this location that match the tree planters on the exterior of the food hall. Again, excitement, fun, color. And this, you're starting to get a perspective. There'll be another slide that's starting perspective of the actual volume in this clear story. That ceiling up there is 32 feet up. And we plan on having that as a big part of our decoration. Or put decorative items up there as we finish out our interior kind of finishes. Another shot, another perspective of the food hall. Stores on either side and a couple of kiosks down the middle of this. A variety of seating, picnic tables, different combinations of colors and tables, again, to just to kind of illuminate the whole area of the project and just, again, make it fun and the fiesta feel. Another picture, again, you see of the gives you an idea of the volume, and you see the trees behind in the background there that will extend out into the exterior. You saw this, sorry, everything's so small, but this just gives you a perspective of really the lineal footage. We've got several thousand feet of lineal footage on these exteriors, and this is how we're going to treat. And as we get involved with the project and with actually the specific plan amendment that we're also preparing now to modify the signage in here, is that we want to be able to create a lot of excitement with signage, you know, around the exterior and perimeter of the mall for the tenants, as well as for the types of uses inside. They're not shown on this plan other than your standard tenant signs on the fascias of the entrances. But this gives you a kind of a lineal perspective of the different elevations for the project. And that's it for what I have for our presentation. I'm available for comments, and as is my team, if you have anything specific for them.
Yes, let's go ahead and start with, we have any questions from Commissioner Rodriguez-Ceja?
Actually, I had a couple, but that last presentation answered a lot of them, so thank you for that. Nothing from me.
Okay, Commissioner Valdez.
I did have a question in regards to the tenants that are currently in place there at the mall. Will they be allowed to stay, or are their units going to be remodeled? What's the plan with them?
There's a combination of things happening with the existing tenants. Some of them have long-term leases that are in place, and we were working with them. They're contractually obligated to work with them. We are asking some to relocate. We have to relocate one of them because he's in our food hall right now, the Street 22, and we are relocating him to another location. We've reached an agreement with him to relocate him to another location within the mall at this point in time. And the other long-term tenants, the same thing. They're basically have the contractual right to stay where they are. Some of them we were, and then the other month-to-month tenants, which is the majority, probably 70% of the tenants in there are month-to-month. Some of them we are keeping, and some of them we are asking to close and come back and talk to us again once we open. Part of our dilemma is to try to consolidate the existing tenants into one area of the mall during construction, because the interior construction, this is going to be so disruptive, as you can see by the design. And so we were actually hoping that a lot of tenants would take our offer and just close during construction because it's going to be disruptive for their customers as well. But to my surprise, everybody wants to stay. Everybody loves it, even though the rents are going to go up once this mall is completed. They've been at a very low rent, and rightly so, with the kind of decrepit shape of this mall, up to this point. But we're going to get up to market rates very soon after we open this mall, and so we're negotiating with every one of the tenants in there that wants to stay. And the several that weren't doing any business and weren't there, we've had to make a tough call and ask them to move out and terminated their month-to-month lease. But we've extended the invitation for all of them to come back, upon the completion of this, and talk with us again and talk about business plans, marketing, merchandising. But we're going to have most of the west half of the mall, the south quadrant and the north quadrant. Most of those shops are going to be open and operating during construction. So we're going to have to work around them. It's going to be tough. It's going to cost us more with the contractor to provide the safe path of travel for customers, but they all wanted to stay. And so, you know, who are we to tell them they can't stay if they wanted to? It's going to be a crummy year for them. You know, we try to explain it to them. We're going to try to minimize the dust, but you can't ever prevent it. So, we probably have a dozen tenants that we're going to remain through construction, and they're going to enter into long-term leases with us to stay on long-term with us. So,
Well, thank you for answering your
you're
question.
welcome.
Commissioner France.
I was born in Indio. I'm so excited to see this. I want to see all that dust quickly. Start working on this. I really love what you're doing with the south side of the mall. My question is going to be, to me, even though that's not the primary entrance, I'm assuming the north side is still going to be the one on around Highway 111 is going to be the main entrance. Is there going to be any parking on that south side, or are you going to direct everyone to park along Highway 111 and just walk through the mall to get to that new section in the back?
Yeah, in this application, we have just the parking that you saw,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in the rear of the center, and so the majority of the parking is going to be on the north side,
Mhm.
and that's what people are used to. You see them parking there now. We've got that huge parking field in the rear right now that nobody uses. People just want to park on 111. But yes, on 111, and then to the east of Sears
Mm-hmm.
is a large parking field, and it's going to get used because we're going to fill up the north very quickly. And same thing to the west parking lot. We have that, again, the reciprocal easement agreement where we share that entire parking lot to the west of the old Gottschalk's building.
So the south portion past this plan is going to be probably fenced off or something to get people from, I don't know what's actually back there anymore. I haven't been back there in a long time.
Right now, there is a wall there, but
Okay.
the long-term plans and that we hope to bring into the city, bring into the planning commission, working with the city staff right now is to have some synergy with the development to the south of the
Right.
mall. And how that's going to end up and get resolved, we don't know yet. We're still in negotiations with the city, but our goal is to be able to be a master developer for the city parcel to the south as well, and integrate the development down there with the development of the mall.
So the wall will stay for now.
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure that. The other question is, I love the colors that the canopy provides, the canopies. Are those, I'm assuming those are very high commercial grade. They're not going to fade. They're not, I mean, the colors are beautiful, but our sun is pretty mean to
Oh,
things
yeah.
with color out here. So I'm assuming these are like specialty commercial grade. They're not going to go from these beautiful, vibrant colors in a year to
You're
some-
talking about the sail?
The sails, the
sailcloth
shade sails,
that I
yes.
talked about? Yes, I mean, the best products out there, the sun destroys anyway. I mean, you can get 3 to 5 years out of the best sunbrella product, in this kind of heat and sun. So, but we will be we anticipate that we're going to be regularly replacing. If we'd love the color, we expect and we'll demand that the color stays vibrant. We're
So
not
it'll
going to let
be
it.
constantly changed and upgraded as
Yeah, we're not going to let
needed.
them get ripped and dusty and
They're
dirty.
gorgeous, but they, it's like wear and tear is
Yes.
pretty tough on them.
Yep.
So I think that was my only couple of questions. Very nice, like what you brought to us a few months, well, maybe a year ago now. I don't remember when the last time was that you guys came.
November.
November.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner France. Vice Chair?
No questions really for the applicant. I'll just save my comments for deliberation.
Okay, I have a question. I saw on the plan, I didn't see any, is there any plans to have any space for public art?
Yes, we're working through that. We're kind of envisioning right now that the fountains, we'd like to create the fountains, an artist's presentation in our fountains. We've got a new central fountain in the mall in the inside of the mall in the center court that we're going to be putting in. We haven't commissioned any our artists yet to do that. We have all of the areas outside to the south within the palm groves and around the areas with the the splash zone and the flex area for public art. Haven't spent any time, to be honest with you, in designing or incorporating that, but it will be part of the plan. One of the things we've done before in other projects, and I'll let it out now. Again, we're still working, still in the formulation stages, but what we've done in the past in other locations where it's such a focal point for the community is we actually go out to the schools and we go out to the school kids, and our plan and what we're talking about right now, I've already talked about, and we did it to a similar project. We take blank tiles and take them out and give all the tiles to the art classes and all of the elementary schools in town and have all the kids paint a theme. And we'll probably start off with a desert, India theme with palms and reptiles, for the desert. And then we're going to take, we've already spoken with and an agreement with a nonprofit group in La Quinta. I won't say their name, but that will actually take the tiles, they'll fire them, and then we're going to take them and we're going to stick them on the walls. And our thought is that we can take those walls in behind the splash zone first. And so in 2002, we have our first wall of the second graders or the third graders, whatever the school administrators decide is the best. And then in 2003, we get the next crop of second graders or third graders the next year. So that 10 years from now or 15 years from now, these people are bringing their family back and their kids back, say, hey, I did that 12 years ago. That's my tile up there. So it's not traditional art, but it's something fun to involve the community.
I was just maybe thinking, since this would be a natural fit, since you have some of that public art on the polo grounds, to maybe transition it over to the fashion marketplace.
It will be part of our development. I just don't have anything specific to share with you.
Okay. And then can we have, would that be something we can help, have our Arts Commission work with the applicant if there was an opportunity for that?
So, Chair, members of the commission, under current city code, the applicant either can contribute to the Art and Public Places Fund by financial means, or the applicant can work with the Public Arts Commission and staff in developing a public arts program. So that's a voluntary choice by the applicant that they can pursue. I think the art, I'm not trying to speak for Mr. Fay, but I think the art he might have been referring to with the school children might have been more private in the sense that it would be art that would be on the property, but wouldn't necessarily be through the public arts program. Although we have done a similar program for our Miles Avenue Bridge that we'll be installing later this year.
Yeah, I was thinking of the Dr. Carrion Park too as well, which is not too far away from the mall. But okay, that's all the questions I have.
I have a question for staff.
Any questions? Do you have a question for staff? Yes.
So I just have a question for staff. What is this? The memo that came out with the conditions that the revised conditions of approval? I just have a question. So I noticed that a lot of the stuff that was deleted was like the removal of broken, damaged sidewalks. Was there like a different condition that covers some of this, or what am I missing here? It just seems like a lot of those were.
Yes, they were additional conditions added to cover that with the agreement with the city engineer and the applicant.
Okay, so most of these items are still being covered in there. I just wanted to make sure they weren't just removed.
Correct.
Okay.
It will be covered to the extent that this portion of the project will affect those.
Okay, got it. Just want to make sure. Thank you.
Any further questions before we close the public hearing?
Oh, Chair, I
Oh,
might.
sorry, is there any comments from the public? Sorry, I don't have my script. I'm running off without my training wheels here.
No public comments.
Okay. Okay, so I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Do you have any questions before I close it? Okay. Okay, we'll go ahead and who'd like to go first? Commissioner Valdez?
I just want to say it. I'm really excited to see such a beautiful structure replacing what we have there. We drive through there all the time, and it's a little sad just to see the building that's, a little run down. So driving down that street and seeing all the beautiful colors and the new construction, the new modern design is going to definitely bring, light into our spirits and hopefully make more people want to drive into Indio and experience the new mall. I love the idea of the big screen outside of, showcasing like games or movie nights with the family. I think that's an amazing idea and something new and something different. I haven't seen or heard of another mall doing something like that. And maybe even live streaming Coachella when Coachella is here or the festivals, I think, or even the tennis. So I love that idea. And I'm excited to see this project come to life. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Valdez. Commissioner Rodriguez Ceja.
Yeah, I think last time when they came in November, I was really looking forward to the project coming down. I think that particular area really needs a lot of attention. And so, I want to thank the applicant for taking the time to consider this project and bringing it to full fruition. I think I really enjoyed that they addressed the parking shade, which wasn't brought up, but all those trees. I'm constantly looking at these landscape plans, just thinking more is more. And so I appreciate from the applicant that they took that on. And I did catch the differences from that original proposed vision when it came in November to the plan that was presented today. And so I did see some of those differences and little nuances that I think only elevated the project. Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good thing, and we really need some attention to that corridor. And I know that's something that we are currently working on, and so I'm really excited to see something like this come to the city.
Thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez Ceja. Commissioner Franz.
All I can say is, thank God. I mean, we really, really need this. It's going to be a huge improvement to the core of Indio. And I remember the mall when it had a little more life, and I'll be very excited to be visiting there again and having places to shop. So I'm very excited, and I'm looking forward to having this come out of the ground. Thanks.
Vice Chair.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see some life and vibrancy brought into our 111 corridor. I grew up coming to this mall when I was a kid. My 5-year-old self would love to see like an Earl of Sandwich maybe in that food hall. That'd be a nice throwback. Hope I can still get my orangeades too. I'm pleased to hear that a lot of the tenants not only are given the opportunity, but are interested in continuing their long-term leases. I would hate to see some of those longtime businesses, whether they do a lot of business currently or not, miss the opportunity to be a part of something exciting like this. I love the idea of taking out that section of the Gottschalks or Harris, whatever you want to call it, and connecting those parking lots. I've always thought that was kind of missing. I really like the date palms and the citrus incorporated in the landscape. That kind of brings back the elements of our agricultural history, because you'd be hard pressed to find, besides the Shields Date Gardens, like actual date grows out here in Indio anymore. And also, people think of us for dates, but I remember a lot of citrus, up and down Jefferson Street and Monroe Street. So I'd like to see those little clusters of the citrus trees as well. I love those clear story towers, I think you call them, giving a lot of natural lighting. I like that. That allows you to probably incorporate some of that continuity of the landscape from the south side into that food hall. I like that a lot. One critique, and I may be alone, I'm just not a big fan of the palm fronds design on the elevations. I wish I had something more to say other than it just seems a little bit busy. But overall, I love it. I'm really excited to see some life brought to that corridor.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'll just say again, I shared this before, that it's very personal because I grew up right behind the mall, and one of our council members did as well. And you said 3 years. We've been waiting for 30 years. I was a kid when it shut down, and my family my mother got her first job at Harris's when it was open. But the neighborhood behind there have been asking, and are very excited to see this come up. So it's about time. And again, I'm very excited about this project and can't wait till you guys move forward and break some ground on it. So thank you. And at this time, I'll go ahead and see if someone wants to take a step at the motion.
I think I wrote down the amendments that we're making. I'd like to, and correct me if I need to say something different, please, Leila, recommend that we adopt resolution number 2001, resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Indio, California, conditionally approving design review 21-04-486 for facade, parking, and landscape remodel renovation of the 16.1 acres of an existing shopping mall, Indio Marketplace, AKA Fashion Mall, subject to findings and conditions of approval and determining that the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. And the following conditions will be deleted from the staff report, conditions 13, 14, 35, and 63. And the following conditions being deleted from resolution 2001, 13, 34, 61, 62, and 63.
I'll go ahead and second the motion. Roll call, please.
Chairperson Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Isiano,
Yes.
Commissioner Franz,
Yes.
Commissioner Valdez,
Yes.
Commissioner Christian Rodriguez Aja.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead and start with no study session items, staff items.
Okay, well, I have a couple of things, and I think Leila does as well. But first of all, on the zoning code update project, we had originally talked with about the idea of doing a joint study session with the City Council and the Planning Commission on July 21st. But we're not going to necessarily need that right now. We're still working on the project. I can say that it might feel like we're walking in the desert and there's a mirage far off that is what we think is coming to the working draft, but it's not that far off. Our consultant team is doing a great job, and Leila and I have been availing ourselves as much as we can to assist them. So hopefully in the not too distant future, we'll have a working draft that we can begin to have the real conversations with the commission. And at that time, we'll determine if we really need a joint meeting with the commission and the council to help facilitate that conversation. But right now, it'd just be a little bit too early. So what this all means is we don't need you to give up any of your precious time on July 21st. So there is no scheduled study session on July 21st. So thank you for indicating your availability, and stay tuned. We will continue to work on that. We are also working very feverishly on the housing element update. Leila and I have been giving feedback along with Jesus Gomez, to our housing neighborhood program manager, to the consultant team. We are aiming to have a public review draft on the streets, so to speak, and submitted to the Department of Housing and Community Development the second week of August. So at that time, the public review draft will be out. Folks can take a look at it. They can comment on it. We are required to submit to HCD, or the Housing and Community Development Department, and they have 60 days to review it and give us their feedback. And then we have to, depending on the nature of the comments, we have to respond. So we are getting closer. You will see that these two projects, the zoning code update project and the housing element update project, are going to have very similar timelines. So you're going to come this fall, you will not want for time with us. We will occupy your minds, your thoughts, and your heads with zoning code and housing element update stuff. And I apologize in advance, because it's probably going to, at some point, you're probably going to want to throw something at us, but stay with us. It's important stuff, and we will get through it with you and get your input and your recommendations to council, and ultimately the work will be done, and then we'll have your legacy on it. The other thing to report is that, and you may throw something at me at this time, is we wanted to say goodbye to one of our staff members. Gustavo Gomez, who's our assistant planner, has accepted a position with the Coachella Valley Association of Governments, and he is following his passion. So we're sad to see him go. We're really happy for him. For those that don't know, Gus is a aficionado, in case I'm going to try that again, all things transportation planning. I'll say it that way. And this is an opportunity for him to pursue his passion. We're really happy for him, although we're sad to see him go. Gus joined us about 3 years ago. 3 years ago as a part-time planning technician while he was finishing up some schooling, and then we got the opportunity to bring him on full-time. He's done amazing work for us. In addition to all his entitlement work, I also had the privilege of working with Gus on 2 projects, our multimodal feasibility study and our transformative climate community plans project. And in both those instances, Gus did amazing work and was indispensable to the success of both those projects. So very sorry to see him go. He will be leaving us at the end of next week, but really happy for him. And we know where he lives, so he won't go too far. I think Leila might want to say some things too.
Yeah, I just want to say it is sad to lose Gus. He's been here with me when it was planning division was just me and him with no director, and then so when we needed help, he was there for us. So that's very I appreciate that very much. But that's his passion, and I'm very happy that he's going there. And if there's a position open, please give me a ring, so I'll be there as well. But I just wanted to say, since last August, my team, which we are 4 people, we had written 81 reports to the Planning Commission and the City Council. So that's kudos to Gus, Nikki, and Rosie. This is amazing work, and sometimes people think we are only doing reports. No, in addition to the reports, Gus, as Kevin said, managed 3 or 4 grants. One of them, which was the Climate Action Plan, Transformative Climate Action Plan, I got an award from the Inland Empire Planning Association section, which, sorry, Kevin, to kick you to the side, but I think all kudos is to Gus for that award with guidance from Kevin, but I work with him on other grants. His leadership is outstanding and putting me in line and guiding me through it. So it's sad that we're losing him, but I have him on my Instagram as a friend, and we are keeping captured his wife here. So we'll still be in touch. So thank you so much for your help and service to the City of Indio and the Planning Division. Thank you so much, and good luck.
Commissioner comments?
The only thing I want to say is, I'm sorry you're leaving, but don't worry, this town's really small, so you're not going to get too far. Congratulations. And I hope that you really enjoy your new position. And thank you for all the work. I know the city's been really busy, so that's good. Thank you. Other than that, I just kind of want to thank everybody for doing this live. It was very interesting. I guess we'd all kind of forgotten what a in-person meeting was like. But I think everything went really well, and the technology part was great. Switching from live to Zoom to back and forth. Thank you very much. Did a good job. And I just want to say that I'm actually very happy to see everybody again in person. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Franz. Any other comments?
No, it's nice to see some familiar faces again in person after over a year, and Jackie got to use the gavel for the first time. That was pretty cool.
You should have given me one. Yes. Commissioner Ceja?
Yeah, I want to say congratulations to Gus, and I'm sure that our paths will meet again. through my 9 to 5, I got a chance to do a mobility and transportation plan for the Riverside County, Eastern Coachella Valley. And so I'm sure we will see more of each other as that work continues. So congratulations. I have a question actually for Mr. Snyder. Mr. Snyder, you're saying that the zoning code update is you guys are working on that. And I just wanted to verify that some of the conditions that we've talked about in the projects that have, come up, some things like public arts in some of these projects, shaded parking requirements and renewable energy requirements, that all of that is being incorporated, or the question is that, are you taking all of that and adding it to it, or should we be preparing to come with you to, with a list of all the things that we've brought up in the previous year?
The short answer is yes, but if Commissioner, if you or any of the commissioners have things that you want to email to Layla and I, please feel free to do it. We have been taking notes and we are looking at them, and obviously you'll get something to review in the future, and you can judge whether or not you think it hit the mark. But certainly don't hesitate to email us your thoughts if something comes to mind, or even if we already have it, it's no harm, no foul. If you just want to send an email, please do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Valdez.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Okay. Guys, I just want to say congratulations. It's been a pleasure to work with you. You're not going to see the end of me because I'm going to be at transportation meetings, and I'm happy to know that you'll be working with my former colleague, Emmanuel Martinez. So you'll be seeing a lot of me on my professional side. But again, congratulations, and I wish you the best of luck with working for CVAG.
I apologize. Can I make one more comment? I apologize.
Yes, sir.
I apologize. I should have done it earlier, but I do want to also take a moment to congratulate Rebecca Winscott, who is our new Deputy Fire Marshal as of tomorrow. She was appointed effective tomorrow, right? Yes. So Rebecca has been 3 years?
I've been 2 years here.
2 years in the city. So she's been the acting fire marshal, and her title is technically deputy fire marshal, but what that means for us is she's our fire marshal. So want to say congratulations, and we're really looking forward to working with her and bothering the heck out of her. So congratulations.
Welcome aboard. I just have one or two questions. What is it called? The Dutch Brothers. Are we going to be invited to that grand opening, or is it going to open? Because I've been seeing things that we've been pushing through and I was like, oh my gosh, when are we going to get invited to that?
I know.
So it is going to open. Layla has been working with them. They had an issue with IID that they finally resolved. Layla has been working with them. I don't know that a grand opening has been scheduled, but Layla's been working on them. They made some kind of infield adjustments to the building, nothing major, but so we've just been kind of working through some changes with them. They had to make some, if you notice the overhang, there's a piece of wood there that they added for structural support that they're going to be dealing with in terms of painting it to match the building. So I think they have a goal of early August. Is what we understand at this point.
I drive by and I kind of look, I'm like, is it open?
Yeah.
I was like, you better not open. I want an invitation to go to their grand opening because we've been asking for it for such a long time.
You'll know when it's open because there'll probably be about 800 cars in line if it's anything like the La Quinta one. So it's going to be quite the event when it does open.
Before, yes, when we invited before. And I don't know how we can get on that list. But we're really excited to see that. And it's really exciting to see even across the street with the
Dan Edwards.
Yes. We used to be the old La Piñata. What is
Yeah,
it?
Dunn Edwards,
Yes.
the paint.
The paint store. So all that kind of, things that we pass and approve and you actually see it, from the ground up. It's been really cool to see that.
Just to add, that project got slowed. I mean, like a lot of projects, not only in our city, but throughout the state and the country, material shortages have impacted a lot of projects, including that project, but they were finally able to get the needed materials. So they're back on. And I know they're rushing to hopefully have the project open later this month. And that same issue has also impacted the Mathis Brothers folks. That's why you've seen that project slow down. Is again, materials have been really difficult to come by. And so unfortunately, some of these slowdowns you've seen on some of the projects and may wonder why they're not moving so quickly is because access to materials is difficult, although it seems to be getting a little bit better.
Okay. And I guess, you know what I'm gonna go ahead and do is, since you only had maybe 1 or 2 meetings here, I'm gonna go ahead and give you the gavel so you could adjourn the meeting.
You shouldn't give me this. Plus, I can't really close it. It's your job. You have to close the meeting.
All right, okay. Okay, so I guess a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All right, Alan, roll call?
Chairperson Lopez.
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Isiano.
Yes.
Commissioner Franz.
Yes.
Commissioner Valdez.
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez Teja.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All
Close.
right.
We did it together there. It's legal.
Thank you, everyone.
I got most of my job in, not all of it, but some of it.